Hi and welcome to the next video. In the last video, we had a very brief introduction about World Wide Web, Internet and HTML and how HTML pages are used to interact with the server at the back end, or how does the server respond back to the browser requests that we receive from a client side. So if you want to create something very interesting, it is very important to understand what HTML is and how to use this HTML to create very simple and basic pages. So let's start with HTML page structure. Any HTML document begins with an HTML tag, and after that, the HTML page is divided into two parts. First part is called as the head part or the head section. This head section is not displayed in the web browser, and it contains information such as the page title or links to CSS or JavaScript or links to custom favicons and other metadata. So basically, anything that we write inside the head section of our HTML page structure that will not be displayed in the display area of the web browser. At most, what we see is the title that is also displayed on the title bar of the web browser. The second part of the HTML page structure is called as the body section. Now, this body section defines the main content of the HTML document or the section of the HTML document that will be directly visible in the web page. So any kind of audio, video, graphic, text content that we see on a web page is written in the body section of the HTML page. And then finally, the browser gets to know that this is the end of the HTML document because it encounters something which looks like this, and this is the closing HTML tag. Now, before getting started, it is important to have the basic requirements that are required to create any HTML document, which are very, very basic and everyone has it. A web page is nothing but a text file which is marked up by HTML codes that tells the browser how to display the text. So that markup is done using the tags. And to create these text files, we use text editors such as Notepad for Windows or TextEdit for Mac, or any other editor like Microsoft Visual Studio Code. You will be seeing my examples using Microsoft Visual Studio Code. If you want to use any other editor that supports HTML, you are free to use any editor of your choice. But make sure that you do not use WordPad, Microsoft Word, or any other full-featured word processing software, as they create different sort of files than the plain text files which we use for web content. If you want to use a very basic editor, use Notepad or TextEdit for Windows or Mac. Otherwise, you can use any other editor like Microsoft Visual Studio Code. You need to save all your web pages with the extension .html to view on a web browser, else they might be saved as a simple text file with the extension .txt, and .txt is not same as .html, and your web browser will not be able to identify .txt files. It will only identify .html extensions to display them as web pages on your web browser. So make sure that you save your files with .html extension. Moving further, what we have is our very first web page. So what you see on your screen is the very first web page, and a very basic and simple web page that contains all the HTML structure components that we discussed with some text inside it. So it has the HTML starting and ending tags. Then it has the head section and the body section. Inside the head section, it has the title section, and inside the body section, it has some text which will be displayed in my browser window. This code will give me this output. Now, if you notice here carefully, HTML is fun is the title tag. Learn HTML was written inside the heading tag. This is my first ever web page was written inside the paragraph tag. Now let's just compare our code with what we see in the output. So this is the web page that we created. This was our code, and this is what we get as the output. Now, if you see from here, head section contains a title bar, which is HTML is fun. This is called the title bar of web page that we'll see. So any tab that you see opened will have something written there. That something written there is written on the title bar of our web page. Moving further, what we have is our heading written inside the body part of the web page. H1 Learn HTML is written here as the heading, and as you can see on the display, it says here heading tag, and this is the Learn HTML heading which is displayed there. Next, we are using p tag, which is a paragraph tag here. The p tag specializes in leaving spaces before and after the paragraph starts or finishes, which means before starting the paragraph, some space will be left out, and after the paragraph is finished, some space will be left. So this is my first ever web page is displayed here using the paragraph tag p tag. There is one more thing that you should note, that I have saved this file as first_web_page.html, and on the web browser you see the whole path file : / / there is a whole path which says C drive has a users directory which has M Sharma Karma directory, which is desktop, which has further HTML folder, which has this page, firstwebpage.html. Now, because I am not running it on a server, this is my URL, which is the path of the file. But in case if this file was being run over a web server and I was supposed to access it over the internet, then the URL would have been www.google.com, for example. The URL will always contain the address or the path of that particular web page. If it is your local server or if it is your local machine, it will display the whole path. If it is a server, it will display the web link, better known as URL or Uniform Resource Locator. Now, we have been seeing some tags here. We have seen HTML tag, heading tag. So let's just quickly see what these tags are all about. Every tag starts with less than symbol and ends with a greater than symbol, which we call as angle brackets. Opening tag starts with less than symbol or angle bracket and ends with the closing angle bracket. For example, we have written here H1 like this. Then closing tag starts with an opening angle bracket followed by a forward slash and ends with a closing angle bracket. For example, we close the heading tag as this. Tags are coded commands as they tag the content written with them and lets the web browser understand the type of text. Now, because these are coded commands, that is how the web browser understands what that particular tag means and what it has to do. So when we have written H1, learn with HTML, and then we close that H1, that learn with HTML becomes bold and bigger in size. It gives it a separate heading style. How did the web browser got to know about it? Because we used a tag called H1, where this H1 is a coded command which told the web browser to interpret learn with HTML as a heading of size 1 and then display it to the user. Tags are of two types: pair tags or unpaired tags or empty tags. Pair tags are those tags which comes in pair of opening and closing tag. For example, we have seen HTML, head, title, body, paragraph, and so on. Unpaired or empty tags are those tags which do not have a closing tag. That is, they do not have any ending tag, but the tag itself ends with a slash followed by a closing angle bracket. For example, we have tag for images which are unpaired tags, img slash, and we close the tag. Similarly, if we want a line break, we use br tag. For input, we use input tag, and so on. Now, opening tag, enclosing content, and closing tag combined forms an HTML example. For example, if we say title, HTML is fun, and we close the title tag. So the opening tag, which is a title, the enclosing content, which is HTML is fun, and the closing tag, which is the title tag. These three combined will form one element called the title element. Similarly, body has an opening tag. There is a content which is inside that body tag, and then the body tag closes. This whole will become as a body element. So depending upon which particular tag element we are talking about, that tag element will contain everything from opening tag, content, and the closing tag. Tags in HTML should always be properly nested. That is, tag opened first closes last. For example, HTML is the first tag opened but is the last tag to be closed. Similarly, we have got head tag. Inside that head tag, we have got title tag. So if I see the nesting, it will be HTML, then it will be head, then it will be title. But the first tag to be closed will be title tag, then the head tag. Then we again begin with the body tag and all the elements inside that body tag are written. Finally, body tag is closed. After that, HTML tag is closed. So it's always nested. The one that is opening first is closing at the end. Now let's just understand the meaning of all the tags that we have been using so far. We have been using HTML tag. Now this tag is placed at the beginning of the document, which indicates the web browser that the document is a web page, and it ends with the closing HTML tag. Then the head section, it should be placed right after the HTML tag, and it provides information about the web page, but it is not displayed by the web browser on the web page. It contains tags that describes the page. For example, the title tag, meta tag, and so on. Head is also a pair tag, and it closes with the closing head tag. Then we have got a body pair tag. This comes after the head tag is closed and contains the content that is displayed by the web browser. Title tag, which is placed inside the head tag, it displays the title of the web page at the very top of the browser window, and it will display the title as the content enclosed within that title tag at the top of the browser window's title bar. It is used to identify the page on the browser's bookmarks or favorite menu depending on which browser is used, and using title on web page, it helps users to easily bookmark them for future reference. P tag is also known as paragraph tag and is used to enclose paragraph of text. It automatically adds a double line break after the text. when it encounters its closing tag. So as I was telling you before, the text enclosed inside the paragraph automatically has some line space after it. Let's just see paragraphs, line breaks, and headings in action. Can you guess what will be the output of this code? It's a very basic code which begins with an HTML tag, ends with an HTML tag, has the head and body section also. The head section contains the title section. The body section contains a heading tag, a paragraph tag, and some text. So based on this code, we have two options here for output 1 and output 2. But either one of the output will be the correct output. Correct output here will be output 1. If you were able to make out, then it's very good. If not, let's just decipher the code that we have just seen in the previous slide. So this was what the code was. Now, if you can see the code here, you need to observe that after the closing paragraph tag, which is this tag, there is no further paragraph tag which is beginning, or there is no further line break which is explicitly mentioned. Line break is mentioned using BR tag in HTML. Now, as the web browser only understands the instructions given, which means it only understands the tags, which are the commands for the web browser. Therefore, the output is a single space instead of line breaks or any extra white space, which means it is fun to learn HTML and it is very easy and I don't need to worry about the case of tag. This will be displayed as a single line as it is being displayed here. There is no P tag or BR tag. That is why the output is a single line. Similarly, always remember that the extra white space in HTML code is automatically reduced to a single space, which is this extra white space that you see here in the code is not seen in the output anywhere. It is only displayed as a single line. Also remember that the text that reaches the edge of the browser window automatically wraps to the next line no matter where the line breaks were in the original HTML file. So I've just resized my browser window here and you can see it is very easy and I don't need to worry about tags. It is now written in 3 lines, not because there was any line break written here, but because the browser window was resized to a smaller window size. That is why it got automatically wrapped up to the next line. The white spaces will always be ignored. Now, can you guess the output of this code? What is the difference in this code and the previous code is one small difference that we have added here is we are adding a BR tag here. So you must have guessed it right. The output will be displayed just the way it was written with the BR tag, which means a line break tag. So the next line is displayed as the next line in the output also. Because BR tag was used in the code, therefore it is displayed in 2 separate lines in the browser window. So let's just quickly wrap up the tags that we just saw. BR tag is an empty tag or unpaired tag which forces a line break wherever encountered in the HTML. HR is also similar to BR in the way that it is an empty tag or an unpaired tag, but it places a horizontal rule on a web page along with a line break. H1 is a heading tag. It's a paired tag and it displays the text as larger and bolder with before and after the line break, which means we do not have to explicitly write BR tag. There will be automatically a line break before H1 tag begins and after the H1 tag closes. Similar to H1, we have got H2, H3, H4, H5 and H6, 6 heading tags. All these heading tags display text as larger and bolder than the regular text that we write, but the difference lies in the size of the heading, where H1 will give you the largest size of the heading, H2 will be smaller than H1, H3 will be smaller than H2, H4 will be smaller than H3, H5 will be smaller than H4 and H6 will be smaller than H5. This is another code that we have written. It's a very basic code and if you have understood everything so far, it should be very easy for you to make out the output of this code. If you were able to make it out, very nice. If not, this is what will be the output. So this code contained title tag which says fun with headings and that you can see here in the output. Then the body tag began. Then there's a heading tag H1 which says heading tags exemplified, which is written here. And if you can note the size of heading tags exemplified and 1111, it is of the same size because they both have been using here H1 as the heading tag. Following H1, we have written HR, which is a horizontal rule. So you can see on the output screen, there is a horizontal rule or a horizontal line after the heading H1. So H1 heading has been displayed. H2 heading has a smaller size than H1. H3 heading has a smaller size than H2. H4 has a smaller size than H3. H5 has a smaller size than H4 and H6 has a further smaller size than H5. And then the horizontal rules are there because there is a horizontal rule written after every heading tag in the code. This is what you have to do or you should try doing it. So what you see here, learn HTML with Monica and then there is some text written, then there is some heading tag given, then there's some further text written, and so on. This is a very simple and a basic design that you can do yourself. Experiment with all the tags that you have learned so far. Use all those tags, create your own profile similar to the one that you are seeing on the screen, and see how much you have understood all these tags and how do they display on the browser window. Some tips to do it is you need to have a close look at the title of the browser window and the body of the browser window for whichever site you open or create. So always observe the title part and the URL part of whatever you're going to create or whatever you're opening. So that will help you remember about the title tag and the URL and will help you understand the difference between the two. Also, in the examples, we have added heading tags from H1 to H4 in the profile example that I gave you, but you can try adding all 6 and you can create your own profile as a web page using all the tags we have discussed so far. So I hope you'll be able to create a very basic profile or a very basic web page of whatever topic you choose for. I hope you'll keep practicing and keep learning, and always remember that the easy and the best way to learn is to keep practicing. So keep practicing your code, keep practicing your tags, and keep learning. We'll meet you in the next lecture. Thank you.